Hi, everybody.
Hi.
This is a very busy day for us because we are finalizing our 20 books plans while also doing this live stream and also making a whole bunch of other really cool announcements and then also talking about fears. So this is the Q&A that we're doing. Hi, Monica.
Hello. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
we've been collecting. So we added a question to our webinars, just kind of on a whim, webinar signups, and the question was, what is holding you back in starting your Kickstarter? What is your biggest fear in doing your Kickstarter? And I didn't really expect much from that question, but we get hundreds of people signed up to all of our webinars, so we've been getting hundreds of responses across many webinars about what people are most afraid of when they think about doing a Kickstarter, all the way up till when they hit the launch button. And so Russell has kind of gone through them and put them into categories. And we're going to go through a couple of the big categories and just talk through like how we have dealt with it as it's come up for us. And also just if there's any, misconceptions, we're going to try to help you break through it. So
Absolutely. And also, this is a question and answer for you too. So if you have any other questions not about fears, we are happy to answer them about the program or anything. Like this is really one of those, like, this is your time. We want to use it well. So yeah, there was a lot of, I'm trying to think of how to word this. So there were like three categories of thing that like really have been come up a lot. And the first one is easily the biggest, which is I'm afraid I won't fund.
yeah.
And that's I mean, likely, I mean, I can imagine why that's the biggest fear, right? Like, I mean, like it's public. It's like you're pushing it. Like, what happens if you don't make what happens if you don't make any money? And I know Monica and I both had that fear when we launched our first combined campaign. So do you want to talk about that a little bit, Monica? Because I know you've talked about it a lot in the course and in the past.
Yeah. So before I do that, I do want to just say, like, we do have our Kickstarter Accelerator open. It's at kickstartyournovel.com slash author. Oh, not author. Offer. OFFER.
Yes. So this is the cool thing about what we've been talking in the background, and we kind of ended the early bird offer early. We've talked to a lot of you now across RAM and otherwise, and we decided it's the end of the year and we want to celebrate how amazing it's been. So we're going to extend that early bird offer through the entire rest of the campaign. And we are going to change it to the buy link to kickstartyournovel.com/buy. If you haven't already, if you are listening to this later, but right now, everyone can get the early bird offer through the end of what we're doing on the 23rd at kickstartyournovel.com/offer. And if you bought it for some reason, if you were one of the few people who bought it and didn't get in on the early bird pricing, we're going to give you access to that. Yeah, we're going to credit you access to all of that. And so, good news.
Yeah. So with fears, I guess the biggest thing, so doing my first Kickstarter, for me, I felt a lot of pressure because I didn't really know anything about the platform. And I didn't know what to expect on the platform. So a lot of us, and myself included, you launch on a retailer and your launch is often determined by like your pre-orders, or if you launch live, I guess, and you don't have a pre-order, it's often determined by your email list. And it takes a lot of sales to get to $1,000, for example, on a retailer. So, let's say your book is priced at $2.99, you make $2 from that, and then to get to $1,000 and to have a $1,000 launch or a four-figure launch, of your book, you need at least 500 sales. And so for a lot of people, like, you got to have a pre-order up to be able to get that. If you are a larger author, you probably don't have this fear of not funding, because most larger authors would, authors with larger audiences. But if you are, an author with a smaller audience, or an audience that doesn't seem that responsive on email at the current time, or doesn't show up on launch day, that could be pretty intimidating, because you're like, I've never been able to make this kind of money on a retailer on launch, so how am I going to do it on Kickstarter? And so to me, the thing that is helpful is to just understand the math of Kickstarter. And so it may not be helpful to you, but this is what was helpful to me, because so on a retailer, to get to $1,000 launch, you probably need 300 to 500 sales, depending on what you're priced at. On Kickstarter, though, to get to $1,000 launch, you probably only need like 25 to 50 sales, because the average amount that a person backs at is somewhere between $25 and $50. So you just don't, if you're at if your average backer is at $25, for example, you need 40 people to hit $1,000. And so most people can come up with 40 sales. If you've been doing this for like really any amount of time, you can probably come up with 40 sales. So, and then, like, of course, if you have something that's that's going to be like a higher average per backer. And so, like, the ones we see the most are probably hardcovers, book boxes, special editions. So if you're going to lean heavier on the print side, for example, because that tends to be more than ebook. If you're doing nonfiction, like, you're almost definitely going to have more than $25 per backer. But on that side, it's like, you need even fewer. Okay, so now you know the math of $1,000. I would say like 99% of the people who are in our program hit at least $1,000. So we can't say anything. We don't have the data for the people outside of our program, but people in our program who launch, like 99% of them hit $1,000 or more. The average is $5,000. It's over $5,000 average in our program. That's the only thing we have data from. So, we always say set the goal at 500. And so that's why we have 100% success rate, basically, is because we teach people to set the goal low. We teach them, and so, like, when you look at 500, well, now you only need like 20 people to hit that at most, like 20, 25 people at most, and probably more like only, 10 to 15 people to hit that $500 mark. And so for most authors, when you start to think of it that way, it's much more clear how you are going to get to the $500 mark, the $1,000 mark. And then if you do our program, then, like, we are like almost sure, like, we're like 99% sure that we are going to be able to get you there, because we have a really successful track record, basically. So what do you?
I do have
I've just
data.
been talking. What do you want to add, Russell?
No, I have some. You did good, because I am trying to find the data that we need to actually say what the average project is, which we've never done before, and I do have access to that. The average project on Kickstarter that is successful raises in the publishing category, raises $1,421.
Yeah,
so
which is not bad.
And you can find that at kickstarter.com/help/stats. They are very transparent about that. There have been a total of 59,000 publishing projects with a success rate of 36.38%. Now, the reason people are like, well, why do you join your program? Well, right. The average of our authors is that they have 100% success rate, or like 99.8% success rate, something like that. Although I think the one we thought was going to fail is not going to fail.
Yeah,
so like maybe it will be 100 again.
Right.
And they average $5,000. So like they average, the success rate is almost triple. And the amount they fund for is more than triple what the average is. So, the course that we have is not a cheap. It's $1,000, but like if your average is going to be $5,000 instead of $1,000, that's a huge jump in what you can expect. And we do that because like we have all sorts of data on what the best practices are for Kickstarter. We share all of that stuff. We have all sorts of promotion mechanisms and other collaborators. So like you just fund higher and than you would normally. And so yeah, I think. But even if you are not going to, even if you're not going to use our program, like the average campaign that is successful raises about $1,500, and that is because the average backer is somewhere between $25 and $50. So if you just say, okay, $25, 1,000 divided by $25 is 40. So like 40 to 50 backers is very findable, and especially because the first backers back at the highest number. So like usually it's your most devoted fans. So that first 25 people that you find are probably even higher than that average. And if you have, as Monica said, book boxes or courses or other things, you're going to even go above that average. I think your last one was like our last one was like 110.
Yeah, our nonfiction was 114 or no 115 average, and then in our group we've seen people who did special edition hardcovers that are their average was like $84, $79. So if you're doing a special edition hardcover, you really need to find even fewer people, like 15 people, or so I think the math of it is pretty reassuring, and that's why we always encourage people to set the $500 goal, because usually they'll go on to raise much more than that, and it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
absolutely doable. I'll be honest, like I am unconvinced that launching a book on Amazon is doable. Like to raise $500 on Amazon for your first book, like I don't know. Like yes,
I
in
mean,
certain
I wouldn't.
categories it's doable, but like it's hard. It's very
Yeah,
hard
it's
to
hard,
find
right?
500, or if you're doing like a 99-cent launch, it's really like 1,500 people to make
Mm-hmm.
$500. Like that's a lot for a brand new author to like find and accumulate. Even in KU, that would be like 500 reads. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
doable,
didn't know those
especially in
numbers.
romance, but like it's not the easiest thing in the world. And I'm not saying that Kickstarter is the easiest thing in the world, but how my mind deals with like I can find 50 people to give me $25 way more easily than I can find 5,000 people to give me $3, just because that's a lot of people to find, even if I can eventually find that many people. I don't think I've sold that many books this entire year of 5,000 books. So so my brain is like, oh, I just have to make really good connections with 50 people, and then like I will have a really good campaign. Um and like anyway, my brain, if you were able to find like scale, like to me that's way harder to find scale of that many people than it is to find some people who really love your work.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to do both too. I think that's how you grow, is like, because like Russell, you're speaking a lot to like finding a deep fandom, and I think Elena Johnson, we were just at Romance Author Mastermind, and she gave a talk. Well, I guess I'm not supposed to talk about it, but like the only thing I'm going to say is like she talked about going deep or going wide, which is not like new to her. I guess it's just she's the one who kind of reminded me of that idea. And so, like, I think a fandom is going deep. I think, on retailers, a lot of times we're casting as wide a net as possible. And so you need to do both. But a lot of authors are missing this fandom piece. And Kickstarter is like the way to do that too. So um, I guess in summary, I would say like you're almost assuredly going to fund if you do like a decent job of your Kickstarter campaign. Like we've seen some not great Kickstarter campaigns that have still funded at like 1,000 or even a couple $1,000s. So if you do a medium good job, then you'll probably, I mean, like you're almost
And have
assuredly going
low
to fund.
expectations.
Yeah, yes, and you set your thing at 500 like we tell you to. So don't set it too much higher than that unless you have a reason. But
Right.
yeah, like we can't guarantee it, but like I would say there's a pretty good chance that you are going to fund.
Yeah, and I got an email either this morning or yesterday from someone that was like, "Can you make it as an author without advertising?" And they were like, "Nope, it's just not possible." I was like, "That's weird because like I don't spend any money on advertising. I do book funnel promos and like I do conventions, which I guess is a form of advertising as well. But like generally, like when I do Kickstarter, like I am like that's my advertising and that's my marketing budget for like the year for the most part. So I agree that it's probably impossible to hit scale from not
Yeah, on
advertising.
retailers, yeah.
Yes, but it is possible to like still have a successful career without doing advertising if you focus on like building that deeper fandom. But you should do both. But this was about like the fear of failing. I'll also say one more thing about the failure. It's like no one cares. Like no one cares if you fail. Like it's not like a black mark. Like people are like, well, what happens if I fail? I'm like, almost all successful people have failed way more than they've succeeded. I mean, Monica and I know, talk about this all of the time. I talk about it like on our podcast. Like I don't know anyone who doesn't like fail more often than they succeed. Even sometimes a successful thing, you launch it the third or fourth time, and you're like, wow, this is not doing as well as like the last couple times that I did it. So there's all sorts of failure, and like yes, it will technically be like on your project if you fail or cancel your campaign, but like honestly and truly, like it does it, if you have done like your best and like you've tried to do everything you can and like you're not taking people's money and not fulfilling, like people on Kickstarter especially, because it's like made for this kind of thing. Like people do not think negatively on a project or a creator that has failed before. And yeah, I deal with this a lot, even in my own life. But what happens if I fail this time? And I'm like, oh, like I still back people who failed previous campaigns. Like just means their campaign wasn't like great. The biggest project of all time was called The Coolest Cooler a few years ago. It's not the biggest one anymore. And like they had a failed campaign a couple of years before, and then they redesigned it and they raised like $18 million. Now there's all sorts of other problems with The Coolest Cooler, but like they had a failure that led to a success.
Yeah, and Kickstarter does not care either, just to be clear. So, um, failing on Kickstarter specifically, like backers don't care. They often don't even know or notice. You can literally just take the campaign and like put it up again. We've had people in our program, people who had failed before they joined our program. They join our program. They put the same campaign that they used before. They put it up again and like tweak it the way we tell them to, or fix it the way we tell them to, and then it succeeds. So like that happens, and then Kickstarter does not care. Like they do not. They are not
Yeah.
going to do anything. They're fine with it.
Yeah, and there's one, like people do fear this failing in public, but like honestly, some of the most supportive times of my life have been when I failed very hard in public. That said, like you're probably not going to fail. Like you probably will succeed. If you have the book, it's more likely that you'll succeed. If you have the course, it's almost guaranteed that you will succeed. Like,
Yeah.
and
Like, yeah, you could literally just buy the course and do it, of course, but like, yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed to
Yeah, I mean, the
succeed.
hardest thing to get people to do, I've talked about this a lot at RAM, was like we need more people to hit the launch button, because when they hit the launch button, they'll see how like fun it is to do the part, and like all of those negatives are what stop you from progressing. But it's hard to describe the positive feeling of watching people back the campaign. Or we had someone in our course this morning who was like, I can't believe someone just backed at like my highest level, and like they've backed 500 projects before, and like I think it's like a real thing, and they were so excited. I'm not going to out them here because they're in the, but like that happens often. People like, wow, I can't believe, like I was having a bad day and then suddenly like someone put $300 in our campaign, and like those are the kinds of moments that you don't talk about, because like it's hard to quantify that. It's very hard to quantify like the failure, but we so often are like very, very, very anti-failure. But like the failure part of it is almost like a very small sliver compared to what the joy is of the success.
Okay. So what's the next one?
Well, I want to talk about this person who just commented
Oh, sure.
on our thing. It says, we were talking about newsletter. It said newsletter audience with relatively soft engagement on a regular basis here. This is my situation, and combined with a hardwired reluctance to be a bother, it's been difficult to force myself to beat this drum as much as I really should for it to gain maximum success. I almost didn't even do a Kickstarter at all because of those two things. However, once I pushed through the discomfort, I found that while I have had some unsubs, they were mainly people that came to me on a freebie basis to begin with. And that is a very common thing that we hear a lot, is like, because I send daily during a campaign, and people are like, I can't do that. I'm like, okay, like you don't have to do. I'm not saying to do it, but like in my experience, that people that unsub are people that like were not ones who wanted to buy from me in the first place. As long as I'm varying my message. So I'm glad to hear that human who I know is in our course, so I'm not going to out right now. All right, so the next one, I think we kind of dealt with this. The next one was kind of like, what if people make fun of me for doing this campaign? And I don't know if we should talk about this specifically, but I can't not, because like that just, I've never seen this happen ever in 10 years almost of doing Kickstarters. I have seen people like in the author community that are like, oh, like I can't believe you're doing a Kickstarter, but like actual Kickstarter people, like the people that are using the platform and people that are like successful generally, like they're not going to be negative towards you. So there is like sometimes people just, there's backlash, but like are those the people you really want to deal with anyway, is really what I would ask. Like that's probably like the end. Like people that are backlashing you for trying to better yourself and do better business, like I don't know, like I don't want to deal with them anyway, so I have no problem muting them. But what do you think to that, Monica?
So it's people are afraid that somebody is going to make fun of them.
Yeah, it seems like someone in the author community, like people in the author community are going to like make fun of them. That's how I read a couple of these ones. They didn't specifically say that, but they said things like, what if people make fun of me, or what if people like mock me, or that kind of thing. And my assumption would be I've only ever seen that. I've never seen it from backers. I've only seen it from like other authors to other authors.
Yeah. I mean, can't say I really have thoughts on it. Like, I mean, yeah, like I like if you make a lot of money, like who cares? I don't know. Like I'm just gonna try to understand. Yeah, I mean, obviously like Kickstarter is still considered, it's still very new to the publishing world. It's still considered kind of an alternative income stream to the publishing world. At one point, self-publishing was considered the same, just indie authorship in general. So if you are an indie author, you're already kind of a rebel. So, just say like if there are people, and like it's actually the majority of people. It's not me or Russell like at all. So we don't we struggle to, we tend to like put ourselves out there a lot, I would say. So like people who don't want to be like a tall blade of grass. Again, Russell and I are not those people. We are tall blades of grass, and we're fine with it. But I think then it's like, why not? To me, it would be like, well, I would want to like see evidence that it worked, or like find a community where it felt safe to be a Kickstarter author. And to me, like that's where it's like, I think joining our program is kind of one of the best things you can do, because there's 200 people in it who are literally like, they have been doing Kickstarter campaigns, they are doing more Kickstarter campaigns, and like you will kind of find your people there, and they've developed like nice friendships with each other. They've developed a really beautiful community. Like we hang out with the people in that group quite a bit. So yeah, I think there's that. I think just finding people who are going to support you is probably how I would approach that. If like like I said, I don't experience this in my business, but like other parts of my life, like sure, like I don't want to stick out, and I would probably try to find community. So and really it's not just community, but it's also like looking for evidence that it's working. Like go to Kickstarter every morning and look at the, look at the publishing section. There's like a section on fiction, and you will see like tons of people. See which names you recognize, see like where they're at on retailers, go to their websites, like look for them on Facebook and see who they're talking to. That would probably be my approach, is just to get more comfortable with it, and be part of a community about it.
Yeah, and I've been dealing with this since before Brandon Sanderson's and Katie Roberts and like those people like were doing Kickstarters successfully. And so now I can say, well, like, I don't know, like Katie Roberts did one, Brandon Sanderson did, where Mercedes Lackey is doing one right now. Like, if it's good enough for them, like it's good enough for me. Like I know there's still these people, but I believe that the tide with the Brandon Sanderson campaign really like shifted. Like you started to see like Sherilyn Kenyon's done one, like a Mercedes Lackey, as I mentioned, did one. Will White did one, like Kevin J. Anderson's done several, like all of these people. Cory Doctorow has done a couple now. So like there are just so many like incredibly, like you cannot deny the success of these people. Just like Skye Warren is doing one right now. So like you can't,
like
you know,
like the people or dislike them, like it doesn't matter. You can't deny that they've had success at what they're trying to do.
Yes,
For sure. So
absolutely.
yeah, like other successful people are using this, but so I think that there's leadership there, but then there's also like a peer group that can help you through it.
Yeah. Okay. So the next kind of section is like overwhelm, sourcing rewards, like getting the whole thing set up. And I think if I had to take all of the things that like people have said, the one that I most relate to is like this one. Like there's just so much to learn on this new platform. So for someone that was like overwhelmed or don't know how to source things, like what would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the platform's not it's not like gonna walk away next February, like you have time. You're if you're even looking into Kickstarter, thinking about Kickstarter, you are way ahead of the curve still on this. I mean, I think Kickstarter is barely getting its legs in the publishing space. We're just now starting to see projects come in from bigger authors, indie authors. So I think you're right on time. Like you have plenty of time. If you're launching anytime in 2023, you're still like here and ready to go. Um, yeah, so I think like one is take your time with it. You don't have to learn it all right now. But then two is like I mean I would kind of push back on like it's this crazy hard platform to learn. There's definitely differences, but we also see people who get their campaigns up within like a couple days. We actually we saw someone, we were at RAM, we did a talk, and then like the next day, like they had put up a page for their campaign,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Can you look at can you look at this page?" So they came to our talk, and then they were like ready to go. It wasn't like we had critique for their page, which is why they had talked to us to begin with. So like I can't really say like it was this amazing page or anything, but they had a page and they like could go, and we've had that happen a number of times. So I don't think it's this crazy hard platform to learn or to get started with. I do think you should give yourself like a month to learn the platform, like our ideal schedule, the one that we teach, the one that we recommend. A month to learn the platform, a month to like pre-market your project, and then you launch it. And so like you need, like from today, we recommend 2 months before you launch, basically,
Yes.
working on it very part-time. I would say you need, whatever training you're going to do, budget like at most 10 hours is probably all you need. And then probably like another 10 hours to set up your campaign for the very first time. So, 20 hours total to like get it set up, get started. And again, like you could do it faster. It won't be fully optimized, but if you're more of like a learn on the go person, or you just want to get something up and then get a critique, that was another thing is people said like, can I just get my page up and like I'll do a consulting call with you and you could tell me what's wrong with my page. So we do stuff like that sometimes too for the right author. So
Yeah, and
well,
a lot of people also post like several times their page in our group once they're ready and they're getting it up. And like one of the cool things about being part of our community is like these are people who've already gone through our system. So you can put your page up on there's a lot of different places that like will put up
yeah.
pages. And like you don't know the quality necessarily of everyone who is commenting. And a lot of those people, frankly, are like in our community who are like, we see it all the time. Like, oh yeah, like, look, I see a lot of like our people in other communities, like talking about the principles that like we have, but like, you don't quite know when you join a program, all of the people are on the same track. Like, the quality of what they're all bringing to the table, and they're all committed to Kickstarter and there's a lot of like 7-figure, 6-figure authors in our community as well. But like, that they're all doing the training, and also that like Monica and I will be like, actually, don't do that. Like, that's not right. Like, that's not, but because we all have like, we're all focused on one thing. We're all committed to doing it, like, hopefully, like the way that we're teaching it. And the people that do that are more successful than the people that are not doing it. Even in our community, the more people follow the system, the better their campaigns tend to do. But also, like, some people on this train were like, well, I don't know about budgeting. Well, it's like, we have 2 budget templates that we give you. I don't know about what rewards. We have a vendor list. Like, I don't know what to do about early bird perks. Like, we have a book swap that like gives you close to 100 books you have access to. So there's all of these things you get inside the community that pretty much what I would say is like, we have a book. Like, that's very good. But like, we also have all of these resources that we've put together after we did the book. So not that the book's not great, but like the book was what we did to create the process for making this. And the course is like what we learned since then, making it with all of the resources that we've put together. Like, I don't know if that makes sense 100% of like what I'm saying, but
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like how, yeah, like just saying it in a different way just to clarify it for people. But yeah, I mean, we wrote, I would say we wrote the book based on basically Russell's experiences with Kickstarter and like my experience running one campaign. So since then, Russell has run many more campaigns, broken his own record, and hit over 40,000. Then I've ran a couple more campaigns, but then we broke Russell's record again. So we've broken Russell's record for fundraising twice this year. And then we've also had 100+ projects and creators go through the program and do like all sorts of experimental stuff. And like, we've learned how to teach this content better. We've learned how to explain it better. So like, that's what the course is. So the book, Russell's experience. The course, like 100+ authors experience, plus like we are a million times better at this, is how I think of it.
and a lot of the courses, like, there was like a thing that like 2 people experienced. It was enough to like explain it, but like, it's not enough to put it in a book because it's such like an edge case experience. 99.9% of people won't deal with it. And if we put it in a book, like then everyone will be like, well, what about this thing? I didn't experience this thing, and it will like bog down.
Yeah.
So like, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, so what else is there? If you have questions, this is the time to put it in the chat. no matter what the comment, no matter what the question is about Kickstarter or direct sales, because we also have a VIP offer that is about direct sales and is about going wide with your book. So like, we have all sorts of, and a lot of people, what I found at RAM, what I was surprised about, Monica, was just how many people were like, their eyes lit up when we talked about the wide stuff.
Yeah, so there are a lot of romance authors who are wide, but basically the wide piece of our business is really, it goes through 12 months. Each month is dedicated to a different platform. So it goes through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Google Play Books, and Apple Books. Trying to think of the last one. It goes through print books, through audiobooks, and it's basically just about how do you make each one better. So how do you make your catalog sell more on Barnes and Noble? And the cool thing about that type of question of like, how do you make, how do I get my catalog selling better on this one retailer, is that if you could increase, for example, like at the lowest end, like most people are making like $50 on each platform per month. So if you could double that, that would be $100 per month. But you see, you're adding not $50, you're adding $600 when you do a month of optimization to your business. So 50. I mean, I don't know a ton of people making less than that. If they have like a reasonably sized catalog on most retailers. But yeah, if you're making more than that, and we've tested this, and like authors have said, like I used your stuff and it doubled my sales on that platform. And then you multiply that by so like let's just say you can double your sales on each platform, and then you multiply it by a bunch of different platforms. Well, that has like changed your author career basically. So that's what this program does. It is it's not as flashy as Kickstarter. So Kickstarter is, you can raise like 10K in a single, like in like a 20-day period or like a 30-day period. This is very much more kind of well, we call it an incubator. It's plotting, and it's like kind of iterating and optimizing over time and across a lot of different platforms, but it makes a huge difference in your success. It's how authors are scaling for the most part. Like, I don't know a 7-figure author who doesn't say that they scaled through like these kind of like adding on like little big pieces of their business. So they're like, I got to the next level by adding audiobooks. I got to the next level by adding translations. I got to the next level by adding print. I got to the next level by this. I got to the next level by that. And so like this is what that program is basically. So we have a question about direct sales. What are some of the recommended vehicles for audiobook file delivery? Book
I only need one.
Yes,
BookFunnel. Like
BookFunnel.
BookFunnel is now does audiobooks, and like I don't even have my stuff on. Like there's like when I do Kickstarters, I haven't even uploaded like audio to Kickstarter or anything to BackerKit or anything. Like I just do everything through BookFunnel, and it's cake.
BookFunnel.
Yeah. I also want to say one thing that seems to have helped people the last at least when I talked to that person in RAM, was the idea that like Kickstarter is another platform. So like when you're thinking about like, wow, I could join Kobo. You're not going to join Kobo in your first month and make $3,000. Right. You literally could join Kickstarter and make $3,000 in a month, and like that's more than you make in a year on most platforms.
Without any optimization.
Yeah, without any optimizations. Even a lot of people with optimizations like are doing $500 to $1,000, which is like, it's like you're adding a huge part and a new platform, because Kickstarter also has its recommendation engines, it has its algorithms, it has all of the things we talk about. And so really, and we talk about there's like 2 months for direct sales in the course. Probably gonna and the incubator, probably gonna add a couple for Kickstarter as well, because it is
Mhm.
one of the wide platforms. If you're going wide, like Patreon is a thing you should look at, Substack is a thing you should look at, like Kickstarter is a thing you should look at. But when you look at, like, I'm in KU, and the hardest thing about going wide is taking away the KU money and surviving on that until the wide stuff starts kicking in, which could take a year or
Mhm.
more. It doesn't have to take a year. That's the whole kind of point. But like, it could take a long time for the wide thing to go in. So having that Kickstarter to be like, okay, I want to go wide. I do Kickstarter. Wow, I raised $5,000 on this Kickstarter. Now I have the funds to do advertising and do all of this stuff while I'm doing the wide retailers. And this is not to say like you can't be in KU, because we see KU people do Kickstarter
Mhm.
all of the time.
Yeah.
But as a part of this system of like multiple income streams, multiple revenue streams, making you successful on wide, and like Kickstarter is one that could allow you a big infusion of cash to make that transition softer and go faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you are, I don't want to say, I don't know if the word stuck is right, but if you are in KU and you are like the thing I hear the most is like KU is 70 to 80% of my income, so I can't leave. I can't leave KU. But I wish I could go wide. I want to go wide. I've tried to go wide and failed or whatever. Like this is like I had that conversation like 100 times at every conference, basically. Um, Kickstarter is probably like it is. It's a kickstart into wide, basically. It's a kickstart into direct sales as well. So we talk to people who want to do direct sales, and they're like, I can't get there. It's like, well, try Kickstarter, because it is kind of like you can get that cash infusion, and then you can do these other things that you want to do, and really, yeah, really be able to let go of that exclusivity.
Yeah, and so we have our direct sales accelerator part of this. And I can say from just being in direct sales for a lot of times, it's like there are a lot of optimizations that you have to do to make your landing pages and make your stores and all of that stuff right. Kickstarter is a great for, and they're all worth doing because they could 100x your campaigns. But um, with Kickstarter, they've done most of the work for you. Like, they have got a high converting page. They've put things in the place that is going to bring in the most sales. And so you just have to sort of know how to paint by numbers and what colors to use in each place, and you can have success. And then by having that, you can really translate that over to direct sales, which is why we have both pieces of that accelerator, because you can then say, I want to take this Kickstarter and I want to use a lot of this for my email sequence and my abandoned cart sequence and my and like my direct sales page, and all of this stuff becomes the basis, not just for going wide but also like moving into a direct sales model and being able to do it without having to optimize and spend time optimizing every little piece of every every page you make.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I mean, I think when people come to us, like, because we talk about all these different things, and it's like, okay, what is your topic? Where do I start? But I think when people come to us, it's really like the way I see our work is really just pointing to the future of publishing, because I don't think there are. And nothing against Amazon when I say this, but I don't like, if I was looking at like where are the big opportunities in independent publishing, I just don't think that they're in Amazon or KU personally. I just don't see it. So I think all the big opportunities in publishing, all the places where if you're a newer author, you can get started. If you're a mid-size author, you can grow quickly. I think all of those are either in fan-based platforms like Kickstarter or Patreon. They're in direct sales from your website, or they are at the wide retailers, which are all the wide retailers are actually growing right now. They're all investing in their businesses more. Audiobooks is really bringing people into all the other wide retailers along with a number of other things. So all of them are growing. And so, I'm not even sure, like here in the US at least, I don't even know how long. I mean, Amazon will always have the majority of the market share, but I think that the wide retailers are they're gaining. They're having gains for really the first time in years. I think in the last couple of years, the first time in years, and you can see that because they're investing in this community again. I believe a lot of that has to do with audiobooks, but like so it's like there's opportunity there. There's opportunity with direct, obviously. So it's like, where's the future of publishing? It's really like all the things we talk about, and we've been doing kind of like the future of publishing for like the last 7 years, last 10 years or something. We've always just been kind of like um, out ahead of the curve, kind of living in the future. But now that future is actually coming to fruition.
Yeah, and you can see that by how many people are unsatisfied with Amazon. It used to be that maybe not the majority of authors, but definitely the majority of high earning authors were like satisfied with how Amazon treated them. And that has shifted. That is a monumental shift that I've seen the last 2 years as like profits have gone down, as advertising has gone down, where like people are dissatisfied with the way that Amazon and KU is, and they're looking for other means. The problem is then they try the other means, and the entire industry is set up for KU. So there's not like a whole lot of good advice or on like, okay, I don't want to be in KU. I mean, the last time that I was in a room and someone was polled like who wants to get out of KU, like 70% of the authors.
It's like almost all authors
Was,
want to do it. I mean,
and
it's definitely been a shift in the last couple of years, and not this was not like nothing is intended to be really against Amazon or KU. It's just I would say our work lies largely outside of Amazon and KU, and also outside of like what they represent in the industry right now. Like just
yeah. But also a big way that Amazon and KU work is by putting a whole bunch of money in advertising and when you launch a book. And if you have a bunch of money from a Kickstarter, that gives you more leverage to like push that book harder at the beginning. I'm not saying that's the only strategy, but like that is like a very common strategy of people pushing advertising very hard at the beginning. And this is a Kickstarter is also a way, even if you're in KU, to increase the advertised buy that you could, that you can have at in those first days of like a new launch or a new series launch. There's not that you can't go into use Kickstarter and KU or Patreon or any of those other things. We obviously seen authors and almost all authors like, and when they get to a certain level, like they are adding these other income streams
right.
to their career at some point. But yeah, I think you're right, Monica. Like when I think of like what, like our thesis statement is what our VIP offer is, which is you need to optimize everywhere because eventually you're going to get to a point that you stagnate, and having all of these platforms optimized, having access to Patreon and Kickstarter and wide retailers and other stuff, fiction apps and other stuff, like having access to all of that stuff is overwhelming. And like we want to take that overwhelm away at least and tell you at least what the ways to maximize each of those platforms are so that you will be prepared when these seismic shifts happen, which they are happening. I mean, a lot of people are a lot of more authors than I remember than I've ever talked to are satisfied with Kobo Plus, for instance. Like they don't love the reporting of Kobo Plus, but like Kobo Plus came up in at least 3 conversations when I was at RAM, and until this, I've had a grand total of 0 conversations outside of with Kobo reps about Kobo Plus.
Oh yeah. I think Kobo Plus. I mean, we were at a romance convention, so Kobo Plus is going to be pretty good to romance authors, because of their readership. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, the only other thing I would say about this is like burnout. Once you have your backlist, like most of us cannot write at the speed that we start out writing at. I guess I would say, and and like some of us, some of us are also just slower writers in the sense that maybe we only put out a book a year from the beginning of our careers, but others of us are people who we did a sprint and we spent 2 years writing 20 books or something, and now we can't look at a typewriter ever again for like 6 months.
You don't have to come so hard at me, Monica. Like,
I was not coming hard at you. The fact that you resonate with that is like this is like the story of being like successful in this industry. And so, but when you hit that point, it's like you have a career because every new format is a new release. Every new platform is a new release. Like you have like infinite new releases with your backlist because you can go to every single platform and be a new release on that platform or be a new format. And like that, I think that is another piece of this is like so many people in the industry are burnt out. I think Becca Stein once was saying that like in other industries that she's seen, the burnout rate is like 10%, and in the indie author industry, she was seeing a burnout rate of 50%. Like it was very, very high, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was higher than that, like 70%. So it's like this is also good for you. Kickstarter, wide direct sales, like we're kind of spinning around all these plates, but like it's also good for you if you are ready to kind of slow down your creative side and utilize the work that you've done over several years.
yeah, and a lot of the backlist stuff, we often talk to people who have a backlist that's no longer performing, and Kickstarter is a
On
great way
retailers,
to do
yeah.
that. And another great thing is we talked to somebody who said they knew somebody who had like 24 releases last year, but they only put out 4 new books, and
Right.
it was there was box sets, and there was like new formats, like there was
It was
French
box sets,
translations
yeah,
or
translations, yep, audiobooks.
yeah, so it's like they only are writing a book a quarter, but like they're putting out like 2 new releases a
A
month
month, yeah.
because of all of these formats and all of these places and all of these other things. And like it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And like, it's not super fun to be like, I'm sorry, authors, in 2 years, you're just going to have to do a lot more admin stuff. Like, it's just going to have to happen because KU is like not performing as well as it used to. I mean, no matter what I think is going to happen, and there's like nobody can deny KU is not performing as well as it did 2 years ago for authors. And it's great when you just have to do one thing and be like, boop, it's live, throw ads, and then like I get to write the next book. Like that like I don't think that's been the reality for most authors for like 3 or 4, probably since before the pandemic, but like now it's really not.
And I think that's like never actually been the reality for most authors. Like that might work for, a section of authors, but I would say like far more authors fail. It kind of, we've been talking about social networks too, where like everybody like I'll just you like TikTok is the newest social network, but this applied to like Instagram and all this stuff too, like all these other places. And it's like, I mean, as many TikTok success stories as you hear, it's probably like I feel like the failure rate is probably really high, like 90% on there. Like 90% of people in the author world are not able to get TikTok to work for them in the first like 2 or 3 months. Maybe they have to work at it for a year. Maybe they do work at it for a year and it never works. But like it's like I don't know. I think there's a lot of that just with KU too, because in many ways it is, I don't want to. So in the business world, it would be called as like a zero sum game where like a winner takes all basically set up. So there are lots of people for whom KU does not work for.
Yes. And
But
also when you talk about like, so what happens when you want to go to a new platform? Like the people that are taking the class at TikTok are probably doing better than the people who are not. And in the same way, if you're looking to exploit a new platform like Kickstarter, getting into like a course that is the good way to like get the most return on that investment. I don't see any new questions here. I kind of want to reveal our 20 books schedules since we're here and I happen to have it open.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to share with you our 20 book schedule. If you are at 20 books with us, then we would love to see you at one of these places. Also, if you have other questions, this is the time, because when I get done revealing this, I'm going to go and take a long sleep until like 7 a.m. tomorrow. But if you are in coming to 20 books, this is our schedule. We will have at least one copy of it, and we'll be sending out a link to where you can find it later, like tomorrow or later today or something like that, to our list. So Monday, we have Vendor Day. We didn't do Vendor Day last year. We saw how amazing it was, and we're doing it this year. Following Vendor Day, people have a little bit of break to break down and eat and get some, and then in our Writer MBA suite later that, and we have an incredible suite, like a suite that is bigger than my house for this entire week, and I'm so excited about it. That night, we're having a info session about like generally Kickstarter and direct sales, and just kind of like a get to know you kind of thing. That first night, where people can like learn more about us, learn more about the conference, and just like kind of hang out and like get their feet under them. I'm really excited for that. Monica, do you want to talk about Tuesday?
Okay, so on Tuesday, we each have a talk in the afternoon. I'll be talking about scaling wide and direct sales and kind of making the argument for why you might want to go wide or direct, and also like how do you grow wide and direct. So kind of makes sense. Our thing is called Go Wide, Grow Wide. Okay, Russell's going to be talking about Kickstarter and
with Oriana.
Oh yes, I forgot that she was going to be at the. I know she's going to be at. She's going to be at two of them, but not at one of them. Okay, so that is with Oriana. Oriana and Russell. Oriana is the director of publishing at Kickstarter. She will be in attendance, and we will be hanging out with her. So it would be great to meet her. So come find us. We will try to find her for you. And then we're going to do a direct sales meetup that evening.
Yeah, basically right after that talk, we're going to do the direct sales meetup, and that'll go until kind of like the cocktail hour or whatever they're doing at 5:30. And that'll also be in our Writer MBA suite. Now, you might be like, Russell, what does the Writer MBA suite mean? And like, you're just gonna have to come find us on Monday. You're gonna ask. Like, we're gonna keep it like kind of under our hats until the event starts, or at least until we get there and we actually are like, for sure, this is our room. And then Wednesday, I think, is going to try and kill us. I think Craig's trying to kill us on Wednesday.
Oh my goodness.
We have so Wednesday we start. I start at 8:15 doing the 5 places you make money on Kickstarter, which is the same talk that we do in our webinar yesterday. But we're going to do it live, and it was super fun when we did it at RAM, and I can't wait to do it again. Then right after that, you and Craig have a talk.
Yeah, Craig Price and I are going to talk about AI audiobooks. It'll probably be mostly him. So I had this talk, but all of our both of our audiobooks, both of us have our audiobooks through the Google audiobooks, and Craig is doing like all of it for us.
Yeah, so, Craig's done everything, and Craig's also uploaded all of my books to BookFunnel as well. Oh, so like,
that's so nice of him.
That's really great. So I don't have to worry about that. Literally right after this talk, I'm doing a talk.
Russell is doing one of my talks.
Yes, that was originally a Monica talk. It's now a Russell talk about how we scaled to 6 figures in 4 months.
On the nonfiction
side. And then we're probably going to try and arrange like a lunch with like some people that were there for nonfiction. Then after lunch, Monica is going to do another talk on Wide, about transitioning your ebooks to Wide. Then I'm going to be on an advanced Kickstarter panel moderated by Oriana with Patty Finn, Kevin Anderson, Dean Wesley
Yeah.
Smith, and myself. We're not even done. I'm not literally not even done with Wednesday yet. And also, if you're like, well, why is this relevant to me, Russell? All of these get uploaded to YouTube. I believe they're uploaded to YouTube and watchable like after the thing. So you should.
I
And
think
they
you
also
can actually stream. They're going to be streamed live first to
yes,
the attendees, the virtual attendees, and virtual attendee tickets are like $30 or something. Like they're really affordable. Yeah, so they'll be streamed, but then they're also recorded, so you can even see our talks from last year. Those were fun. So then after that, I will be talking about Google Play Books and Apple Books. So it's kind of so my first talk is kind of like the whys and hows of transitioning your ebooks wide, and so that's kind of like the big wide talk, and then we're going to go into each of the platforms after that. So you'll see the one at how to increase your sales at Google Play Books and Apple Books, and then there's one the next day on Thursday at how to increase your sales at Barnes & Noble and Kobo. And so those two later ones with all the specific retailers are more going to be like I'm just going to do notes. I wasn't able to do a presentation for those, like a deck for those. So I will just be doing notes, and it's going to be a little bit more cozy casual, really for the diehard wides.
yeah.
So that'll be fun. So you want to
then
do
finally on Wednesday, we're going to have a Kickstarter meetup. If you are going to 20 books, there are very few people coming to our Kickstarter meetup. Hopefully after 2 days of talking about Kickstarter, 3 days of talking about Kickstarter, like we'll have a lot more of our Kickstarter meetup, people in our Kickstarter meetup to talk about Kickstarter. There was a question about making the replay from our talk yesterday. And yes, you can find the replay of everything at kickstartyournovel.com/replay. It will have both of our recorded webinars that we did there. Then, as Monica said, on Thursday, we get to do, she's going to do Wide and Barnes & Noble and Kobo. Then we're going to finish all that with a Wide meetup.
That'll be like over lunch time, basically.
Yes.
And kind of hopefully people from the talk will come.
And then we finally have on Thursday night, we have a nonfiction meetup before Friday. What's our plan Friday, Monica?
Well, so Friday we'll be at the rave. We are not going to be necessarily signing, but we will have a vendor table there again. And so like if you're an author going to the rave, like feel free to stop by and chat us up. We'll mostly be hanging out at that point. I don't think there's going to be a ton of non-authors coming to our table, but we're really there to just like chat with the authors and support you in any way we can regarding Kickstarter wide or direct sales, and specifically around our course, of course. And then Friday night, we're doing a s'mores party for the stragglers.
Yes. So
that'll be really fun.
Yeah. So people that are going to still be there on Friday, we're going to have a little bit of a s'mores party. I will say the rave, Oriana from Kickstarter should also be at our table for a couple of hours to like chill and hang out. And that'll be really fun. But yeah, Friday is just going to be like, if we still have, if 20 books hasn't killed us by Friday, we're just going to like breathe and like chill out and hopefully like talk to people about the thing and then eat some s'mores and then like wind down from the show. So if you are going to be there, we absolutely would love to see you at any of these events, at all of the events. If you're one of our students, we would love to talk with you. If you're on the fence about or have questions, we're going to be there. So like you can feel free to flag us down as long as we're not in some other meeting. I usually try to stay on the floor like as much as I can.
During the day, we'll be on the floor.
Although we have a killer suite, so I might be up there instead. I don't know. But yeah, we're going to send out a link to this to our email list probably tomorrow. We'll put this in all of the groups that we're part of on our Facebook pages and such. So I'll try and pin it to wherever I am so that people can see it. But it will be very hard to miss us because I think that like every day we have at least a talk and a couple of meetups. So we look very, very excited to see you there.
Yeah, there are something like 200 talks. So I'll be curious if it's. I mean, it's definitely not the Russell and Monica show, I would say, but it is in our little spreadsheet. It's definitely like a Russell and Monica show. So
Yeah.
come see us somewhere.
Yes, and we look forward to see you there. I don't see any more questions, so we are going to sign off, and we'll see you hopefully at 20 books and in the course. If you want to get the what used to be the early bird offer, you can go
Secret
to
offer.
the secret offer. That's now the everyone offer is now at kickstartyournovel.com/offer. I'm gonna really quickly just share. I don't think we've talked about what the offer is for for what the old offer was and is now. So until the 23rd, which is when this ends, we're going to do early bird pricing for the Kickstarter accelerator. And what does that mean? It means that you get the direct sales accelerator for free included in your $999 sale. On top of that, and the direct sales accelerator is 6 weeks of group coaching calls, 6 months really of group coaching calls, because it's mostly one a month right now, about website sales, constructing funnels, convention sales, onboarding an email list, running ads, basically everything you need to know to like start making a killing wide in 2023, including group mentorship and a self-study courses worth up to $3,000, including build a rabid fan base, build a super fandom, how to build an audience from scratch, creating profitable Facebook ads, running email builders, running Kickstarter anthologies, writing better novels, productivity. And that doesn't even include Monica's amazing courses on author mindset, book launching, copywriting, and list building. It is not too much to say. This is $3,000. People have paid a lot of money for these courses, but we think it's the syllabus that you need to succeed in direct sales. So we are making it available to anyone who enrolls in our direct sales accelerator, which now you get if you buy at the $999 price. And again,
and to be clear, it's $3,000 worth. It doesn't cost $3,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
$3,000 worth that you get for free for including in the accelerator as part of the curriculum. The VIP offer is one we don't talk about a lot, which is usually considerably more than this, but it is a year access to Monica and my Go Wide, Grow Wide incubator, which if accelerator is for fast, I want to go fast, incubator is bite-sized chunks of a lot of different things. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you get with the incubator?
Yeah, with the incubator, you basically get 12 I would call them mini courses, but they're really like courses. So you get 12 different courses on different topics. And so like I said earlier, 5 retailers: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple Books, and Google Play Books. Each of those is a mini course in there, and each one teaches you kind of like all the latest on like how to optimize, how to grow, and then we do advertising. It's primarily for wide authors, so a lot of what's taught in the industry is KU advertising. So the major platforms: Amazon, Facebook, and BookBub. And then there's a mini course on print, a mini course on audiobooks, and 2 on direct sales, though we are kind of we're going to probably pull those into our like you'll still get those, but like we're also going to pull that into our direct sales accelerator at some point, because we kind of created a couple like we're kind of Frankensteining our thing together. But it's a really good program. You get a lot of content with it, of course, but I think more importantly, you get a community of people who are committed to direct sales, to wide, to alternative income streams, to what I consider the future of publishing.
Yeah. This is kind of our thesis statement. All 3 of these together are our thesis statement about like what the future of publishing is. We have 4 payment plans. One is the $9.99 one time, and you get some bonuses with that for coming in and pay in full. But we have a We've not offered the 12 pay except for one other time, and that is $99. You can literally join for $99 to get the Kickstarter and Direct Sales Accelerator. Spend a couple of months learning the program, crush it on your Kickstarter campaign, and pay off and make enough to pay off the rest of the your accelerator payments. Also, if you want to do the VIP, that's $14.99 or $149 a month. Same thing. You can come in, start doing your optimization, see the success, and then pay off early, and we will give you access to the pay in full bonuses, which is my copy vault for two of my old campaigns, and my solo audiobooks and ebooks as well. And that's it. That's the thing. We've raised over $1 million, helped hundreds of creators now. Like, we really, 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 really believe that Kickstarter is the future of publishing, as well as all of the things we mentioned. And we hope to see you in the course at kickstartyournovel.com/offer. Any final thoughts, Monica, before we say bye?
No, this was really fun, and I hope that we helped you work through some of your fears around this, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the rambling we did. So we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.